Hello again. Happy Wine Wednesday. I'm so excited. I'm here today with Chris Hyde of Hyde Wines, also Hyde Estates. And I'm just going to wait a moment for him to join. Um, as you guys know, I took a week off from this, so this is so fun. I'm so excited to get to do this with Chris, who I've known for quite some time. Any of you that know California Chardonnay better know Hyde. If not, you should sit in and join this session. You're going to learn so much. Let me just invite Chris to join the screen. Hello, hello. Oh, hi. There you
Hi,
are.
Emily. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing well, thanks. Yeah, beautiful day here in Carneros.
I mean, I don't think it's fair for you to have that backdrop. I'm getting really tired of doing this with winemakers who are just sitting on the vineyard while I'm in my dining room in San Francisco.
Well, someone's got to do it.
I know, someone does have to do it. And I've actually been to that view. Are you in your backyard?
Actually, we are right across the street at the winery.
Okay, I've been there too.
Give you a little view. Here's the press right here,
Great.
and there's the tasting room, our little patio in the corner.
Yeah, now most importantly, where's your wife and where's your dog, that German Shepherd I met last time I was there?
Close by. Here's
She's filming maybe? Shannon?
Do you see Misha?
Oh, there she is.
Hey, Misha. She just got a bath. She's a little grumpy, but she's
I
happy
know.
otherwise.
I know. I feel the same way. Whenever I have to dry my hair, I get grumpy too. It's my least favorite thing to do.
Well, fortunately, things dry out pretty quick with this weather we've been having.
Yeah. Well, I'll never forget when I visited the new tasting room. You guys gave me a tour, and I think we went up to your office, and there's these beautiful like French doors looking out at the vineyards, and the dog was just like laying there grazing. It was the most picturesque picture. I was very jealous of her view in her home office.
Right, we built those balconies especially for Misha.
Oh gosh, must be nice.
Yep.
Well, so I'm super excited. I don't know if, everybody, my viewers are all super familiar with Hyde. So I think it would be awesome if we could kick off. I was refreshing myself on the founding year, and it's actually a very sentimental year for me, the year your father founded it. So maybe if you can walk us through the history and what you guys are doing now, that would be a great start. And obviously I'm going to sip the Chardonnay in the meantime. So maybe we could talk about the Chardonnay as you're talking about the history.
Absolutely. Let's see. Are we going to start with the 12 or the 16?
Yeah, let's start with the 12 Chardonnay.
Let's do it.
I pre-poured.
Glass here. Got all the wines with me.
Oh, good. You can be Vanna White.
We just
and
started.
something to pay attention, which people will notice if they pay close attention. It looks like at some point between the two vintages we're tasting, you guys changed the label.
Yep. Changed the label a little bit. It's a family business, but we've gone from this more perhaps old world style label to one a little more
modern and updated. The younger generation, maybe.
Yep. Also a tribute to Larry Hyde, and a little mention of the estate, which we are currently at, being the winery where all the grapes are grown around. So my dad had come to Carneros in 1979. Started working here back in the old days when a lot of big wineries were actually getting their start. Wineries that you know today, from Napa Valley. And 40 years later, he worked at all these different places: Stag's Leap, Cuvée, Mondavi, Phelps.
Wow.
And
I didn't know he worked at all of those. I do know that you guys sell grapes to Phelps because, as you know, Kelsey's a dear friend of mine, and I had Hyde wine at Phelps, and I was like, what? You guys get grapes from Hyde? And we're like, yeah, for years. And I was like, go figure. Everybody's, so connected in the industry.
Right. Yeah, several years now, Syrah and Viognier. We've been working with Phelps for 20 years.
Wow.
Grapes from our vineyard, and my father had really close connections with Joseph Phelps, and who he worked for in the cellar back in 1977, and the vineyard managers, and it's been a long family connection. I actually know Will Phelps from high school days.
Oh, wow.
A few years ago when we got our master's in wine business.
At Sonoma State, right?
At Sonoma State University.
Yeah. I've taken classes there too. It's a great spot. I don't have a master's from there. I have a master's from New York, but God, I wish I had a master's in wine. That would be awesome.
Well, they're still offering it.
I don't know about getting 2 masters. That seems like a little redundant. I'm working on a WSET certification at the moment.
Awesome. That's a great goal right there. You know,
Yeah.
I always wanted to either get my master's or a degree in law, which is the family tradition, prior to my dad's getting into the wine business. But I was really happy with the program. Great program. Learned so much. Met so many great and interesting people. And my wife in particular. And I was able to launch this new winery the same year that I graduated with my MBA from Sonoma.
Oh my God! And you graduated with an MBA, you launched a winery, and you found a wife. I would say that's like the trifecta. What a year!
It was a good year. 2017. A lot of things happened that year, but the good news is that we're still here. We're doing well. We're open again to have visitors.
Good.
We've launched some fun new wines that are only available here at the winery.
I'm curious about. I guess I'm gonna have to come and visit to find out. Can you tell us the varietals, or are they all surprises?
Little Sauvignon Blanc.
Okay.
A little bit of Viognier, Syrah, about less than 100 tons of each. We're making a little bit of Zinfandel this year.
Oh my goodness! I don't know if I've had Zin out of Carneros. Are they Carneros grapes?
There isn't a whole lot of it. It isn't from Carneros grapes. Right up the street here. Definitely cool climate. You need to have your viticulture extremely dialed in, and we do. We're one of those farming families here where we have our own crews. We get the work dialed in. I sell grapes to over 40 different wineries, for those of you who aren't familiar with Hyde.
That's a lot. That's so many relationships to manage. And I have to say, Chris, I mean, I've met you and I've hung out with you and your dad, and you guys are just like the most loved family in Carneros. Like my friends that aren't into wine, I was like, you gotta come meet Chris. They're like the godfather of the Carneros. Like you guys are just the coolest, and you're so down to earth. And I mean, obviously you sell to 40 wineries. That's incredible.
Yes, it's a lot. It's a lot. We enjoy working with our various clients in Napa and Sonoma and even Central Coast. We sell some Chardonnay and Pinot to our dear friend Paul Lotto, who makes wine.
Oh my God! I did an IG live with Paul maybe a month and a half ago. That's so great.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He's also from Poland, just like my mother.
I didn't know. Oh gosh, we probably talked about you in the IG live. It's so funny when all the conversations that come up in the different vineyards.
There's a chance. Actually, I went to college in San Luis Obispo, and that's where I met Paul. So. You know, I think we were doing a big dinner at Jim Clendenin's house.
What? Can I get invited? When is this?
I was still in college. I was at Cal Poly.
Oh, I thought you meant you are doing. You did it. That is the coolest.
This is like 15 years ago, and my parents were visiting me in college.
Yeah.
And they invited me over to Jim's house for a big dinner, and Paul Lotto was basically
running. He was working there when he first started winemaking.
That was I believe that's how he got his and came down to the Central Coast. So.
You're going to get to reunite with your buddy Paul at Pinots and Plaid whenever it happens. I'm aiming for February 2021. You guys were at the inaugural Pinots and Plaid last year, you and lovely Shannon. So thank you for that. And Pinots and Plaid is growing for 2021. I'm adding the entire state of California. And I would say for 2022, it's probably going to be Oregon, because I'm going to Oregon next week and finally like scratching the surface of that. But Paul is one of the Central Coast wineries that I invited, and he's thrilled to be there.
Awesome. That's awesome. You know, great road trip too. If you have to cancel your trip to Burgundy, maybe drive up the coast. I have to say there's a lot of fantastic wines being produced on the west coast of California.
Yeah.
And it's a coastal thing. So what we're doing today is Chardonnay and Pinot.
Okay. Yeah, let's talk about this 2012, because what a fun, it's rare to get to drink something that old, just, opening it for the IG Live.
Old vines, Wente clone.
Okay.
We only have about 20 cases left. This is my dad's favorite vintage, has been for a long time. It's a beautiful wine, very rich, Wente clone, very small clusters. This is something my father's been known for. Propagating. He's propagated dozens of heritage field selections, which means that
what does that mean?
So that means that you go out to the original vineyard and you get the budwood. In this case, the Wente brothers sent it to my dad.
Yes.
Graft it. So you plant rootstocks, which are American rooting selections, and then graft the buds into the stalk, into the trunk of the little rootstock. And then you'll let that one bud graft in and grow up, and you'll train it so that that's your trunk, and you're actually growing an American, well, on American roots, you're growing European vines.
Okay.
These old selections, you can get clones from nurseries, anyone can get them. But these old heritage selections oftentimes weren't available other than finding them from old school vineyards in California. So,
well, and abroad. So I'll never forget. I think my first year at World of Pinot, and I was at like a rosé panel in the morning, and then I happened to meet Josh Jensen, and he was like, "Oh, I'm being honored tonight. I have an extra ticket. Do you want to be my +1?" And I'm like, "Sure." And I'm pretty sure your dad was there, and they were telling this crazy. Well, I know your dad was there. They were telling this cool story. Josh was talking about like, the Clara clone and where he got it in France, and a couple of the guys were like, "I can't tell you where I got it, and I can't tell you the clone." It was all this like secret stuff, and they were on stage like reminiscing, and it was so cool. Just the fact that people, smuggled clones from France over, and now there's, it's widespread in California. I'm not saying yours was smuggled. I'm just saying there was a story about it that night.
They all came over at some point or another, by one means or another. There are stories.
Yeah, I feel like you're holding back on us, but that's okay because this is public recording and it's going to go on YouTube. So we'll talk about those off the record.
Yep.
Cool. So you guys have been selling wine to, at the moment, 40 brands. At what point did you also start making your own wine, or were you doing that all along?
We started making the Pinot Noir from this particular vineyard here back in 2009. So
okay.
We'd been selling grapes for a very long time. My father had been making homemade wine for a very long time. We were kind of garagiste winemakers, producing a little Merlot, a little Chardonnay, occasionally Syrah or Pinot in the home brew. And my father also had the partnership that he built with Aubert de Villaine called HDV up in Napa, where we produce a few thousand cases, a lot of it for international.
Those are beautiful. I've had those too.
Yep.
So how does that work? What does the partnership mean? Can you explain that?
Yeah, so we own a small winery up in North Napa together, and we definitely follow Burgundian principles of winemaking in the vineyard. So I work with the winemaking team from France.
Ooh,
and,
ooh la la,
and moreover, the winemaking is Burgundian also. The whole business model actually. So that's been a lot of fun to be a part of. My father and I then decided to start making a little bit of Pinot Noir back in 2009, which was a few years later. And he always had the vision to build this winery in Carneros to produce some of the wines from the vineyards that he and I had been developing post-Hyde vineyards in addition to Hyde vineyards. So we've now grown to over 200 acres this year.
Wow, in Carneros?
Started off 70. And this was kind of a part of the expansion of the enterprise and creating varietal wines specifically, which is what we're doing at Hyde Estate: Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, Syrah, Viognier, Merlot, and soon to be added a couple others. So this was more of a fun project between my father and I, and a passion project, and also to give a home to our wines here in Carneros, which was very important to all of us.
Yeah.
My dad's always been a huge proponent of the Carneros region. He's one of the founders of the Carneros Quality Alliance, and a huge proponent of the quality wines that come out of here today. The clones that we use for our Chardonnay and what we will soon taste, our Pinot Noir, have been spread throughout the North Coast and outside of California as well. And he spent a lot of time propagating these selections the Wente, what we now have is a large cluster, actually Calera selection, which is also imparting, you know, rather than more mineral expression, more richness. Totally different Chardonnay. So, you know, we might be growing about half what we grow might be Chardonnay, but there are 5 or 6 different Chardonnays that we grow, which are all very unique.
Oh, okay. And then I assume you just only the Wente clone goes in the Hyde estate wines that we're having.
Right. So the 2012 was 100% Wente.
Okay.
2016 predominantly Wente as well. We've started to bring in barrels of different clones that we have to do some experiments and see how they work together. So we'll see where it goes down the road. But at this point, all the Wente vines, which actually are planted right here behind me right now.
Okay. It's funny. I think Chardonnay sometimes can get a bad rep for those of us that, I mean, I love Chardonnay, so I would never say anything bad about it, but some people are like, I don't like Chardonnay. And I feel like through these Instagram lives, just talking to winemakers and, you know, explaining what we're tasting, what we're smelling, a lot of my viewers have been like, oh, that sounds like something I would like. It's actually not a big butterball like Rombauer. And I'm like, no, they're not all like that. That's just, you know, the cougar juice, which none of the winemakers I have on my IG Live are making wines that you would describe as a cougar juice.
Right. And I love that term, cougar juice. That's awesome. I work with.
I mean, my dress is very fitting for it. Leopard juice.
It's you know, Chardonnay is a beautiful thing. You bring up a good point. There's a lot of people who have issues. You know, I don't like Chardonnay. I don't drink Chardonnay. I have made hundreds of converts over the years. I've had so many people come by. Come on, you got to try it. Just give it a taste.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be offended. And all of a sudden, oh my God, I don't like Chardonnay.
I didn't think I liked it. Exactly. I mean, I'm such a hypocrite because I'm the pickiest food eater. And I'm like, I don't like that. I won't eat it. And I'm not good at trying. But when it comes to wine, I'm like, wine, there's no risk. Like, just give it a sip.
Yep. Give it a try. You know, some people spit. That's acceptable too.
Yeah. I mean, when I'm on a media visit, I'm spitting. I'm at home and I'm going to have dinner after this, so I'm not spitting. These wines are so beautiful. I don't get to drink 4 of your wines on a typical Wednesday night, so this is a treat. Thank you for sharing them.
Of course, it's a pleasure. You know, and thanks again for having me. We're very proud of the wines. Our current releases at the moment are fantastic. We've had great reviews from the Wine Advocate and other sources as well. Particularly with this 2016, which we're going to be releasing the 2017.
So the 2016 is your current release.
This is our current release for two more months before we release the next one. The 16 is extraordinary. I think that might be what you have in your glass right now.
Yes, I do. Yep.
So this wine we released last August.
I'm just looking at your current release on my iPad. I'm following along. So anyone that wants to shop, just hydewines.com.
So pretty much 16s across the board. A couple of our other wines are on the 18 vintage, the Viognier and Sauv Blanc, which we only barrel age for 6 months. Okay. So those wines turn over really quickly. Very fresh, very acid forward, fruit forward, acid based style. The Chardonnay and Pinot are obviously more reserved wines. They need a little more time to lay down. They actually spend 11 months in barrel.
And can you talk about what kind of barrels you use?
Yes, so our barrels are exclusively from Burgundy. So we use a select few Coopers out of Burgundy for all of our barrel aging.
Okay.
Among them, Francois Frere, which is been
a popular one. He must be
popular.
Great.
We love the flavor that it imparts on the wine. We use very new, very few, a low percentage of new oak barrels, about 20% every year. So most of the barrels have already been used in what we call neutral, because we don't believe in imparting a whole lot of oak flavor onto the wine. We want people to be able to taste the vineyard and to be able to taste the fruit and the terroir. So
yeah, Carneros, you gotta love it.
It's beautiful, and this 16 Chardonnay we're drinking right now has that orchard fruit to it. Interesting story, actually. This place this farm here used to be an apple and pear orchard when we purchased the property here back in 2005, and you can even get a lot of those fruit notes through the flavor of the Chardonnay as well. So we've saved a bunch of the trees, and we actually have fruit trees scattered throughout the property.
Do you think you're saying you think that adds to the flavor?
It's striking that you get those flavors of the grapes that you can also get in some of the fruit that grows out here as well.
Yeah, I love it. It smells. It's very like bright and fresh.
Right, and there's acid that there's organic chemistry to be involved in that. I'm not going to bore you with geeky stuff. But,
I love the geeky stuff, Chris. I don't know if my viewers do, but I do.
There's reasons for that. It's the soil. The soil is very shallow. It's
okay. And what kind of soil is it?
It's clay loam. It's a clay loam. It's almost pottery grade clay. The vines struggle to put their roots down. They can only go about 12 to 14 inches deep, and then they have to move vertically. So that's a good thing for vineyards. You see these vineyards.
And are you dry farming?
We are pretty close to it in most years, but we're actually in a drought year.
Okay.
So this being a drought, we've had to do some irrigations. We didn't start until probably last week of June, which wasn't that long ago. We are still in June. So
I know. I like forgot
first week of June. Anyway,
I thought with shelter in place, and I mean, I don't know if you got the memo, Chris. It's also my birthday month, so I've been really busy celebrating, and I had a surgery, so I was offline for a few days. So like this month is just like all over the place, but it's still June.
Well, all right. Well, toast to your birthday month. Mine was last month. That's awesome.
No, it was June 10th. Yours was last month?
Happy belated. In that case, I'm May 23rd.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. I'll put that on my calendar. We'll have like a birthday in between next year. It'll be an excuse to come visit you in Shannon. Right.
Same sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, no, this 16 is super lovely. So I'm adding something to my wish list. I see that you have 5 liters. I mean, what girl doesn't need a 5-liter Hyde Pinot?
We do. And it's pretty awesome. We actually have all of our large formats etched from 3 to 9 liter. And it's...
How many glasses is in a 5-liter?
How many glasses of wine? Well, it depends on how tall your pours.
Well, let's say healthy pours like we like them.
5 liter. Let's see. Little arithmetic here.
Sorry, it's okay if you don't know. I don't know. I'm just like, I want that. I want to
say 200 smaller pours, maybe 160 larger pours. So
cool.
A good party.
Well, maybe we should ask you to bring one of your 5 liters for Pinots and Plaid, or like a 3 liter. Because what I'm going to do, pre-COVID, I was going to have the VIP hour, just like we did last year. During the VIP hour, everybody got to try something a little special. And then when the general admission people came, they got the good stuff, but not the extra special stuff. So remind me in however many months we're coordinating Pinots and Plaid that I want an oversized from Hyde, please.
Yes, you got it. We'll make it happen.
Because it tastes so different. Because can you explain like the difference in how an oversized Magnum ages and like the oxidation versus a regular size wine bottle?
Absolutely. It's simple as this. You have the opening in the bottle. It's a glass bottle, so this is the reason we use cork, so we can age these for a very long time. These wines taste delicious at 2 or 3 years in. They also are built to last and develop and are beautiful years later in the bottle. It's a lot of fun watching the time go by and tasting more and more as you go. But basically, with a larger bottle, you only have one opening. Your opening is not going to be much bigger than a normal 750. So you're going to have a larger volume of wine in comparison with the closure.
Small bottle.
So it's wood, it's natural, it's porous, it's breathing, just like it was as a tree.
Yeah.
And you're slowly having oxygen infiltrate into the wine, which is why when the wine is full and topped up pretty close to the cork, you're all good. But once you start drinking it and you get it down to a little lower fill level, then you have more oxygen hitting your wine, which causes it to age. Aging is a good thing, but you don't want the wine to go over the tipping point. So with a larger bottle, you have way more wine compared to the size of the opening, and that amount of wine is going to take a lot longer to age and oxidize.
Yeah.
So basically what I'm telling you is this wine, okay, it'll last you, 10, 20 years. The 5 liter can last exponentially longer amount of time.
Yeah.
Whether you're planning on storing it long or not, doesn't matter, but it's a killer thing to have at a party.
Oh my God, I love doing a side-by-side of like all 3 sizes.
These bottles.
Wait, by the way, I think the team at Joseph Phelps' ears were burning. We were just talking about you guys and how Hyde sells you fruit and how we love you. So hello, Joseph Phelps. Oh, they're joining us, Chris.
Great to have you.
Yeah, it's really cool. So Veritas, have you ever had Veritas? It's up in Healdsburg.
Yes.
It's lovely. So they had a pickup party and they had 3 different sizes of the same vintage, and holy cow, it's so different tasting, the 1 liter, the 3 liter, the regular. And that was the first time I did that side by side, and I was like, this is a very cool experience. Oh, yeah. It's Will.
Is Will Phelps on?
Will is on. Oh my God. Hey, Will.
Woo.
Well, good.
Love you,
well,
Will. What's up, brother?
We are at the halfway mark. I can't believe it. Should we move on to the Pinot? Have we talked about the 16 Chardonnay enough, or anything else we want to cover here?
So 16 Chardonnay, fantastic vintage. Really happy with the wines that came out of 16. We're across the board, beautiful wines. It's the first vintage that we bottled at the new winery. It's the second vintage with the new label. I feel like, being able to grow the grapes right here like we are, bring them right over and
I'm going to do a close-up of the label.
Do all the vinifying right here on site. It's a very special thing. So,
wait, can you also, I noticed this on one of the caps. Can you share more what all this beautiful music means? I'm sure it has something to do with your dad, right?
Right. So that's a trumpet tune. Actually, it has to do with my mother.
Okay.
My dad met in Burgundy. They met picking grapes at my uncle Aubert de Villen's vineyard in Bouzeron, Domaine de Villaine. And my father's married to Aubert's wife. My father's cousin, rather, married Aubert. So that's our Burgundian connection. And my parents met in Burgundy picking grapes. So.
Oh, romantic. I should go to Burgundy and pick grapes. Maybe I'll meet my husband there.
There's a chance. Apparently, it worked out for my folks, and I'm very happy that happened that way. The trumpet tune is a tribute to my mother. It's from her hometown in eastern Poland, where she came from, and it's a 12th century trumpet tune that they still play to this day from the city walls. So just a little.
That is so cool. I should ask Paul about that. Does Paul's town have a trumpet too, or just your mom's town?
There's a chance if it was a large enough city in the medieval days.
Wow, that's awesome. So much rich history between how your parents met, the family, Burgundy. So you're like part French? Oui.
No. Actually.
But what about your uncle? Isn't he French?
He is, but he's married to my father's cousin.
Okay, so I'm not going to do the math.
Yeah, so actually, my dad, we're related through marriage.
Okay.
My father's family is Spanish Californian, so came down to California via Mexico during the mission days in the 18th century, and helped establish the mission system and build Mission Santa Barbara.
Wow, and, I love all the mission bells as you drive along California.
Yeah, the El Camino Real. My family, actually, my great-great-great-grandfather was known for bringing about peaceful end to when the soldiers were rioting because the king stopped paying them money. And he was a good man. He was a great peacemaker in California history, and also helped transition from the Spanish crown through the period of Mexican rule into California. And actually one of his sons, who's my great-great-great-granduncle, was the first Hispanic American congressman in the United States.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, Chris, I have to say, I'm really impressed. I was already impressed with your family, but your credentials and accomplishments, my goodness.
Yeah, it runs deep, and actually wine was being made in Santa Barbara, but my family 7 generations ago.
Oh yeah, so, but you're not making wine in Santa Barbara anymore, are you?
At this time, no, but some of the grapes from my vineyard are being shipped down to that area and produced. Which
I think you should do a swapperoo. Like, you know, if you sell, say, Biendecito grapes, Biendecito sends you some, or you know, Rinconada or Sea Smoke. There's so many great vineyards down there. That would be super fun.
I actually have a lot of distant cousins who are farming between here in Monterey, Salinas, all the way down to Santa Barbara. So I have a huge extended family because my family's been here so long, and you know, it's great seeing people like James Ontiveros down in
I don't know him.
He's been a World of Pinot every year. You just got to.
Is he a winemaker?
Yep.
And what's his winery?
It's called Native 9.
Native 9?
Yep, number 9.
Okay, well, I'm going in August, so maybe I'll have you intro
great guy.
Me. Yeah.
A distant cousin of mine through Don Jose de la Guerra. My cousin lived down there also. So, yeah, it's a big family. We have a long, rich history out here, and my family's been farming for many generations. So I'm proud to be the third family here working in Napa Carneros, third generation, and yeah, and my father's been, you know, such a great influence for me, not only but the industry as a whole, and brought so much.
I mean, yeah.
The region, so
it's funny, like when you just mentioned, like, you know, as I was talking to different wineries about who's coming to Pinots and Plat or who I was doing Instagram Live with, and you mentioned Hyde, and everyone's just like, oh wow, they're just the best, they're legendary. And so, I mean, it's a wonderful reputation to have, and your wines are beautiful, and you guys are so lovely. So thank you for sharing your story with us.
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed that 2016 Chardonnay.
I did.
We're gonna party on into the 2012, I think.
Oh, you're gonna start with the old?
We can end with the old, start with the new. Is that?
Well, it's funny because I feel like usually at tastings, it's like you sort of want to have the best one first, but it's also like when you start with the new, you can't go from the old to the new. It's harder.
I think we start with the new.
Okay.
You're really going to be stoked with the 2012. The 16 is fantastic.
Yeah.
As well, 16 great vintage, delicious wines.
Yeah, it's
across the board. 16 was one of those years where everything just went perfectly. And it was following up 15, which was a drought year, a tough year. So
the 16 is that new modern bottle we were talking about. Let me show the bottle again. It matches the Chardonnay, and I see the beautiful music on the back for your mom.
Yep.
Let me show everybody. And it's funny because the color, like when I poured them side by side, I was like, oh, I always have to be careful not to mix it up. Although, I mean, I should be able to tell the difference by taste of a 4-year wine. Like the 12 is not that much like browner and old looking than the 16.
No, the 12 was a vintage that had great longevity. I remember had so much tannin, good fruit set, robust vines. We had a lot of rainfall in 2011 winter, excessive amount of rainfall. So the vines were super vigorous, happy, produced a great crop, had a good set. The growing season was perfect. It was warm. It was calm.
What does that mean, a good set?
So when the clusters flower basically in the month of May and into June, we have flowering, which is when the clusters come out and the primordiums open, the flowers open up, and each berries an individual flower on the cluster. And if it rains or you have a hailstorm,
yeah, rain's bad for flowering, I've learned.
The flowering gets beat up.
Okay.
And you end up with very sad-looking clusters with not a lot of fruit. So you're doing a lot of sorting and glad to get whatever you can.
So a set just means the flowers weren't damaged. They're like perfect, ideal conditions.
Pretty much. You know,
okay.
in some selections or clones, a little bit of damage during set isn't a bad thing. But for us, we have a great diversity. We have 7 different selections in our Pinot block.
Yes, so that was my next question. What clones are in here? May I guess? Is there any like Pomard?
Yep, a little bit of UCD4 Pomard.
Okay.
Yep, we have some of that. That's always been a favorite of us. a little bit of Dijon, 115, 16. And then a few heritage selections, the pedigree of which I might not be.
Yeah, we can't talk about the secret heritage. I'm gonna any like martini because it's not super spicy. I describe the martini clone like I'm a little spicy, and I do love this, but I also love a little spicy Pinot. But like I'm not getting that clone in here. Is there martini?
Right. Nope. No martini clone. We've never had martini clone. We've never had the martini clone growing out here, and we still don't. Dad's got a lot of stuff that we've been playing with. So
actually, I retract that. I did get a spice on my third taste when I paid attention to it, but like maybe that's different. I mean, honestly, do you know anyone that can blind taste clones? Because that would be a skill.
That's a good question. You know, it's site specific. I'd say, is it more admirable to be able to taste the clone or the site, the vintage? That's a lot to ask, but I do have a friend who's a master somm, so next time I see him, I'll ask him.
Oh, who's that?
Ron Wiegand.
Oh, I don't know him.
Yep, he's the first American to get the title of both Master of Wine and Master Sommelier.
Oh my goodness, I have a friend that's an MW. Yeah, that guy sounds like an overachiever to get both. Well, then he could probably do this challenge.
He's a brilliant man. He's an old buddy of my dad's from Napa in the 70s and 80s, and he actually currently resides in Hungary in Tokai.
Oh my goodness! Well, if I ever go to Hungary, I'm gonna look him up.
Yeah, let me know. I'll send you his way.
Yeah. God, I didn't know there was an MS and an MW. What an exciting and what an overachiever.
Yeah, he's a fun guy to drink with. That's for sure.
Well, my favorite, I do love to taste Pinot blind and guess the region. And if I'm at my sharpest, I can usually guess the region. I mean, obviously, a Sonoma Coast versus a Russian River, those are like no brainers. And then Central Coast, sometimes I can do Santa Rita versus Santa Maria. It just depends on my, freshness. I was actually worried with this mouth surgery that my taste might be affected, but apparently it hasn't been.
I'm very glad to hear that.
I know.
Could you imagine? Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we've got someone that says they're supposed to visit Rocky next week. Can't wait to try it with your wines.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah. We Sam the Somm joined. That's not who we were just talking about, right?
There we go. Perhaps.
Cool. Yeah, so this 16 is lovely. And what's the price point on this again? I'm just going to look at my handy iPad.
$70.
70. That's great. And so you said that the winery was open for anybody that joined since then. Can you share like how the experience is? What's it like if people come in?
Absolutely. So we offer tasting. There's 5 different wines. It's $50 for the experience, and it's about an hour and a half. You come in. Our guests obviously following all the proper CDC guidelines, wearing the masks. I've hosted a few tastings myself. Folks come in. Once they're seated, they can take off their mask, get comfortable. We serve the wines. It's basically the same as it was before. It's wine education. Also, you can have a tour of the vineyard, the winery facility itself. We have a beautiful outdoor patio.
I've never visited your outdoor patio.
You've got to check it out. It's gorgeous landscape, full of beautiful local plants. We have a wall of orchard apples that we use to make apple cider.
Fun!
Running the pond nearby where we make our estate olive oil. And
I didn't know you did olive oil. We should. Gosh, I want to try olive oil next time. I'm making pasta tonight, so I'm gonna have your Pinot with the pasta. So gosh, a little olive oil and French bread. That'll be next time. Maybe for our birthday dinner, our joint birthday dinner next May/June.
Yes, we just got it. We just got it bottled recently, labeled. We bottled it a few months ago. We got the labels together. It's delicious. It stays fresh for a very long time.
That just gave me an idea. I think I'm going to do my favorite winery olive oils blog post.
Awesome. Well, hey, we'll get you a bottle.
Hey, I'm pretty sure Hyde's going to be on there.
Of the estate olive oil?
Yeah. I mean, it's so fun. Like, I actually, have you had that olive oil from Round Pond? They are spectacular. I'm hooked on the Meyer lemon. I just put it on my salad, like, dry with a little balsamic, and it's life-changing.
Yep, I definitely had a nice pour of that when I visited their outdoor tasting room.
Yeah. So, hey, that's a thing. I mean, people love a good gourmet olive oil, and if we can support the wineries at the same time, why not?
Napa is capable, in my opinion, of producing olive oil equal to quality of any Tuscan olive oil.
I know nothing. Well, I saw olives being harvested once when I was at Round Pond, and they were like shaking the trees and then catching them with like a net. But like, how long does it take to grow? Like, olive oil just seems like a whole nother beast I know nothing about.
You know, olive oil is it's a long growing season. You know, put a little copper on there. You're going to be harvesting it sometime mid to late November.
What do you mean copper?
Yep, just off-season sprays to prevent husk fly and any other pests. It's organic.
Okay.
The friends have been using it for years. But yeah, it's pretty easy to grow. You just keep them clean. You prune them every several years. Olives are pretty easy to do. Just the harvesting of the olive is quite labor intensive.
So do the same people that harvest your grapes harvest your olives?
Yeah, pretty much.
Because you have your own
it's like
vineyard
harvesting
team.
the other fruits. You got to get out there and pick the things.
Yeah.
Takes a lot of work. And then we go to a local olive press cooperative, and they'll run a press load for us for a nominal fee, and we end up with our olive oil, which we bottle, and it's
Cool.
spectacular. We've been doing it for years. We love it. I cook with it almost exclusively. I use it. I eat it, drink it. It's beautiful stuff. I love it.
Good. Well, thank you for the olive oil blog post idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been doing a lot more cooking content, and who doesn't love a delicious olive oil?
It's pretty tasty stuff. It's extra virgin. The color is very green and bright, and it's beautiful.
Great. Well, I don't want to monopolize the conversation based on olive oil because we do have the 2012 to talk about, which I'm very excited to try with you.
So 2012 was the fourth year that we produced Pinot from the estate. We were making all our wines with James Hall from Patson Hall back then.
Oh, he's great.
He's awesome. He's been a great friend. We love this wine. We've been co-fermenting 7 different selections. The 2012 was such a standout vintage, beautiful vintage. We actually felt that the wine needed a little more time, so we held back a few dozen cases, which we've been enjoying a great deal over the last few years. We're almost out of the 12 Chardonnay, the 12 Pinot. We have maybe a dozen or 2 dozen cases left. It's been amazing.
So this tastes very different than the 16. Is it the same blend of Pinot, just 4 years older?
Same, exactly.
Exact same.
The growing season wasn't that different. The 16 vintage had a very similar growing season. And these are wines I'm extremely proud of because they are built to last. And there's nothing, there's nothing lacking. It's
lovely. Yeah, it's so hard to tell, if like, oh, there was 4 clones that year and then 6 but yep. Cool. It's big, it's robust. It's really holding up.
Co-fermented both years. Yeah, really excited about the 2012. This is how we want people to see our Pinot. This is how it's intended to be. Every year we work our tails off to make a fantastic vintage based on what we have. The 2011 was amazing. The 2010, these are all wines that are built to last, and they're going to go the distance. Okay. Which I'm talking, our oldest wine is 09. It's still drinking well, even though that was a hot year. Beautiful.
How do you remember? Like, I need to start memorizing years and like knowing the weather because I don't know that stuff.
I partially remember it by the wine. I check in, I drink the wine. All of a sudden, I'm reminiscing on the vintage, what happened that year. Actually, in a way, the wine is my timekeeper.
Yeah.
I taste through these wines. They keep me focused on what each year was like. It's how I keep track of things. But obviously, with 40 clients and a business, number of businesses like we do, there's a lot to keep in mind. So
yeah. So do you mind me asking? I mean, obviously, you don't have to list all 40. Can you share some of the brands that you source grapes to? Just because some of our viewers probably have had you and might not even have noticed or known.
Sure. Yeah, we sell Sauvignon Blanc to Spotswood, among others.
Beautiful.
Merlot. Our clients are, Joel Gott Duckhorn, Sequoia Grove, Domaine Carneros.
They buy Merlot?
Oh yeah, they make a Hyde Vineyard designated Merlot.
I had no idea. I think I had their still Pinot at a Carneros Wine Alliance. And I'm like, you make a still wine? I didn't know they made a Merlot.
They make still wines. They make the still Merlot. It's fantastic. I actually was just communicating with TJ earlier today. So Hyde Vineyard, believe it or not, makes excellent Merlot. We have a 16 Merlot that we're not tasting today, but it's available. It's out of the park. Fantastic vintage.
Yeah.
Secret weapon of Carneros, perhaps. People are, to give you a little inside scoop about grapes these days, people are all about the 16. People are all about the Merlot, the Syrah, those.
The 16 any grape or the 16 Merlot, since we were talking about Merlot?
Oh, no. Well, customers are digging the 16s, but, I mean, wineries that are looking to buy grapes from me are definitely excited about some of the reds that we have. So Merlot's making a comeback.
I have a feeling, Chris, I feel like you really love Merlot. It's come up in a lot of our conversations. And I know winemakers don't admit what their favorites are, but I feel like Merlot is this underdog that you're trying to uplift.
We're bringing it back.
Yeah. Like you guys sent me a Merlot. I'm like, you make a Merlot? You're like, you should try it. I mean, I will try it. I'm going to save it for my dad. He loves Merlot, and we'll have it together.
Very dear to my heart. I think it's underrated. It's got the body. It's got the structure. Merlot is a beautiful wine.
Am I right? Am I right? Is Merlot your underdog fave?
Perhaps. That being said, the Pinot Noir is a very versatile wine. Pinot goes with everything. You could drink it on its own or with a meal or, however you see fit. It's like my children. I love them all. So.
You have kids?
Not at this time. Actually.
Oh, I was like, I didn't know you guys had kids.
Thankful not to during the quarantine, but.
Well, you've been working on it? Is that what you said? There's going to be a lot of post-quarantine babies. It's so exciting. It'll be like, what's your name? Corona. Just kidding.
Coronials, the Coronials.
Well, hey, we've all been at home picking up hobbies, making babies, making wine, studying wine certifications. You got to pass the time,
Well, that being said, harvest is around the corner. We have another vintage coming up. I'm going to step back.
Oh my gosh. Wait, let me just take a photo because I need a photo for our cover. But let's take a photo with you and then we'll take a photo with the vineyard. Get in there, Chris, please. A little more in the middle. Cheese. It's really complicated because when this goes on YouTube, we need a photo, one more, of the two of us for the header image. And it's so funny how Instagram splits it. So anybody that joined late, if you are worried you missed something, don't worry. This will be on my IGTV channel and on my YouTube channel. So you can watch me and Chris whenever you want. Yeah.
Awesome.
Sorry, I think I interrupted your list of Merlot. What about Pinot and Chard? I bet you sell a lot of that.
Yep. So Pinot, actually Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, then Merlot, my top three planted varietals. The Chardonnay, obviously fantastic. Pinot Noir, this is a climate ideally suited. Merlot, does very well here as well. The weather needs to cooperate because the set's very finicky, same as our Viognier.
Is Merlot as difficult and high maintenance as Pinot Noir?
That's a good question. Yes.
It is, because I always hear how Pinot Noir is like so high maintenance and so delicate.
When you're trying to grow quality grapes, you need to maintain a high level of quality, and that's what we do here. And I believe
so. That's the thing about Merlot. When I got into it like 2 or 3 years ago, I think I had one at Eller's Estate in St. Helena, or what is that? Yeah, it's way up north. And I was like, no, I don't like Merlot. I did that whole I don't like Chardonnay thing. And then I tried their Merlot, and I was like, no, I like nice Merlot. Like Merlot is one of those things you can't have a cheap one from.
Very good. Syrah
you can't have a cheap grocery store Merlot and like drink it. Like it's just not tolerable.
And just to the point with your comments about Chardonnay earlier. You know, how many people have reached out to me and said, I don't like Chardonnay, and then I pour them mine, and all of a sudden they change their minds.
Yeah.
So, you know, same goes for Merlot.
Mm-hmm.
Pinot Noir is on an upswing right now. I find that there's a cycle. Everything runs in a cyclical, you know, pattern. So Merlot's coming back. It's the story's not over yet. We have
I agree with you. I mean, I have a favorite Merlot. Actually, once I try your Merlot, I'll probably put your Merlot post on. I have a best Merlot blog. I mean, it's Merlot month is October, by the way. I'm sure you know that, being a Merlot king.
Yeah, that's what we pick it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Merlot, I think it's really underrated. It's sort of like Cab Franc. Like, people are like, oh, I love Cabernet Sauvignon. I'm like, well, do you love Cab Franc? And they're like, what's that? I've never had it. And I'm like, it's actually like this, like, underrated, like, it's almost better than Cab Sauv because it's so unique.
It's the father of Cab Sauv.
And then Cab Sauvignon Blanc is what, the daughter?
No, it's the mother.
The mother.
Cab
okay,
Franc
so Cab Franc and Sauv Blanc are the parents of Cab Sauv.
Yes.
Thank you, Chris. These are going to be very important facts for my WSET certification. Yep. Good. Well, we have like 7 more minutes left. I want to make sure we cover everything. We talked about, what about you? So tell us about you. So you're making the wines. Like, what's your role at the winery?
Right. So, you know, I wear a lot of hats. I spend a lot of time out in the vineyard. I oversee, you know, all the relationships, the requests from the winemakers. I stay involved in the viticulture, what's going on around the vineyard as much as I can. Obviously, that's probably the most important part. Overseeing production at the winery. I also manage all the vineyards at our partnership down the street in North Napa, and
the vineyards where your house is, where I've been with you guys tasting. Yep.
So, you know, we have several employees, and I kind of HR, bookkeeping, accounting. I even do payroll. I mean, I literally.
It's nice when you own your own business to do payroll. It's just good to keep an eye on. My dad owns a business, and, you know, every small business owner at some point, someone like maybe embezzles. You're lucky if it hasn't happened. So payroll as an owner is important.
Unless I'm doing it, so.
Right, exactly. When you're doing it, you're like, no, I'm not going to write a check to this person who I don't know who it is or whatever.
It really helps you keep it close. Yeah, got your finger on the pulse of the business, and you know, for many years now, I've been handling all aspects of it. I also work for a couple of nonprofits in town, and
oh, which ones?
Well, I'm a director on the Napa Farm Bureau board, and I also serve on the Napa Wine Grape Pest and Disease Control District. So.
Oh, I don't. What was the first one you said? I'm not familiar with them.
The Farm Bureau.
Yeah.
It's a long-standing organization in America to basically represent the interests of farmers. We've had a huge decrease in the number of farmers in California year after year for decades now, and I'm basically working in a local grassroots organization that's nonprofit and supports agriculture.
Are you recruiting farmers or just recruiting farmers to join?
We're recruiting farmers. We're providing scholarships for children who want to be involved in agriculture. We're doing a lot of great things for the community.
So you know that thing that all those kids in wine country belong to, where they like grow animals as teenagers, H3 or something?
Yep. 4-H.
Or yeah. What is that? Were you a part of that? Can you explain that to those of us that aren't farmers?
I was not a part of 4-H, but I was involved in animal. I was involved. I'll just leave it that way.
Okay.
I've always been really excited about plants and farming and growing things that grow from the ground.
Yeah.
That's really the passion of mine that brought me into this business. I was always excited about plants, and I felt a connection to things that grow from the soil, and that's me. So that's what brought me back.
You've got the perfect job. It's you were born into the right family.
I was, and not only that, but I have to give a shout out to my dad. Larry's awesome. Larry. He was my guy. He got me excited about this stuff, and he was a mentor to me, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my father. So,
how's your dad doing?
He's doing great. Yeah, he's still out and about in the vineyards as much as he can. We'll be out there running around tomorrow.
Yeah.
He's doing well. He's hanging. He's quarantined in a beautiful place with a lot
I know. Well, yeah, I mean, all of our parents, they're sort of that generation, they gotta be careful. And at the same time, I mean, I'm pretty sure it was the first time we met at World of Pinot, because I have this great picture of you and your dad at World of Pinot.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, the Hydes, I know you. And you're probably like, who is this crazy, energetic girl? And that's me. But yeah.
Yep. It was a little Pinot dinner, maybe with Josh Jensen later that night.
Yeah, exactly. I think, yeah. So Friday morning or Friday afternoon, you were at the tasting, and then we were all at the dinner together. And yeah, I mean, God, World of Pinot is just the best. Yeah, we were there this year together. The picture today on Instagram is of you and me. I forgot how tall you are.
Right. Yeah.
What are you, 6'5"?
6'4".
Oh my gosh. Do you know what? Normally I have high heels, so like I wouldn't have looked so short, and I was wearing flats, so I was not in pain because my back doesn't like me on heels during these wine events for 5 hours, and I was like, I feel like a midget next to Chris.
Yeah, the Hyde family actually came over to California from Northumbria in the mid 1800s, and my ancestor David Hyde married I think New York used to be New Amsterdam.
Yes.
So there was a Dutch family, and he married a daughter of one of those families. So a little bit of Dutch family there, and the Hydes, when they crossed the Oregon Trail and came out to California, a lot of very tall genes there. And
oh my, you guys crossed the Oregon Trail? I'm crossing the Oregon Trail by car on Friday.
Yeah, I know we all played that game.
Oh my God, yeah, in like third grade on the Macintosh 2CX. I remember that.
But
well, I think I'm a little older than you, so you probably played it in like when you were like a baby when I was in third grade.
Oh no, I was playing that. I was playing that when I was like 7. Yeah.
Okay.
And beyond, and then so anyway, Hyde family married on my branch into some Spanish and English settlers, and a little bit of Irish in there. So my dad and I got the tall guy genes.
Well, cool. Well, I'm going to give you a 2-minute warning because Instagram literally will cut us off. And I think I got on at 5:02 because I had trouble getting on the first time. Well, this has been so much fun. I just have a little bit left of one wine. I'm so surprised. I was going to say Clean Plate Club. The Pinots are gone. Surprise, surprise. Yeah, is there anything else we want to say before we conclude our time together?
I want to ask you, Emily, which wines are you most excited about?
Of what we tasted today?
Yep.
Well, it's funny because I think there's this like pressure that you're supposed to like old wines and they're supposed to be so much better than the current vintage. And I actually found like the 16 was I could just drink bottles of this. Like, not that the 12 wasn't lovely, but I'm like, I think I like almost like a fresher, newer vintage. Like, I want to try an old and be like, oh, it aged so well. That's so cool. But like, in terms of drinking glasses of it, I want the 16 Pinot or the Chard. But like the Pinot, that's my go-to.
Love it. Love it. The 16 Pinot, super approachable, beautiful wine. We're really excited about it. We only made about 500 cases, all from the estate. We're going to have that wine available for the next few months.
Okay.
Probably until late February, early March of 2021. I'm sure we're all happy to put this vintage behind us.
Yes.
But it looks like we have a great year coming in the vineyards. A little bit smaller crop.
What? Small crop?
Smaller crop.
Slightly. But like more denser grapes, which is good.
The shoots are, not excessively growing like they did last year.
Okay.
It's kind of parked itself right at the level you want. So this is the ideal vintage for balance, quality.
I can't wait to try it. Let me just say one thing, Chris. I just want to remind people, you guys, if you joined and you were like, shoot, I didn't buy the wines ahead of time, but I want to. On my Instagram story today, Jet Setting Fashionista, there's a whole list of the wines, and I'm pretty sure there's like a discount code and the shipping and all that. So you can still buy after this and just, watch us on YouTube or just drink it at home and don't even watch us. But these are awesome wines, and, it would be fun to try them if you didn't get a chance to yet. So back to you, Chris. We've got 23 seconds.
Yep. So awesome. Thank you, Emily. You can go to our website at www.hydewines.com. That's Hyde, Hyde, wines.com. Check us out. See the wines we've got.
Come and visit. Go visit you in Napa Valley now that you're open.
We're open for appointment. We're building.